All right, so thank you everyone for joining us today. The Aurora Chamber of Commerce has been very active in communicating government updates and providing information sessions to shed light on the concerns of local businesses. We have been advocating with all levels of government on behalf of our businesses, and we have been providing training sessions on topics such as pivoting your business, ensuring the financial health of your business, marketing, social media, and online sales presence. We will continue to support the needs of businesses as we work through the various phases of reopening. This panel is not meant to be an experts panel, but rather a panel where we will be sharing what individuals are doing in their businesses to keep their employees and customers feeling safe. From an HR perspective, some tips on returning to work safely and some communication strategies. Joining us today, if you could just wave when I call your name, is Joe Cornacchia, General Manager of New Roads Aurora Toyota, Harry Asbreuk, Branch Manager for Meridian Credit Union, Vince Sposito, owner Casa Carbone restaurant, Teresa Cook, owner of the Story of Love retail store, and Luisa De Jesus, President, LD Human Resources. So I would like to begin the session by asking each of the panelists to discuss their return to work plans from an employee and customer perspective that they have either already implemented or are preparing to implement when they are allowed to open. Then I will ask Luisa to speak on the HR component of the panel. Each of you will have 5 minutes to describe your process so that we have time for Q&A at the end. So let's begin. Joe, I'm going to start with you. I'm just going to unmute you. There you go. You should be good to go, Joe.
Good morning. As Sandra said, I'm the general manager at New Roads Toyota in Aurora. We belong to the New Roads Group, which is 8 dealerships, 6 of them in the Newmarket, Aurora area. We shut down voluntarily on March 15th for 2 weeks, feeling that it was the right thing to do for the employees. During those 2 weeks, we had Zoom meetings every day with all the general managers in preparation for April 8th startup. And so obviously we made a list of processes and items for the different departments. And I'm just going to go through some of the stuff that we prepared and then some of the stuff that we're doing and have been doing for 6 weeks. And so it gives you an idea sort of how we got the ideas, how we started and where we are today and how it's working. First of all, we split the dealership in 3 groups, sales, parts and service, and admin. And we made the choice to separate them completely. They can't interact, so that if somebody did get the virus in one department, we didn't have to shut the whole dealership down. So that was the first step. The second step was to make a list of PPE supplies that we would need for customers and the employees. We then wrote 3 different processes for the 3 different groups of how we want to interact with the customer and how it would best work. I don't need to really go through the PPE supplies. I think everybody knows them, from sanitizers to, we put, in our business, we put all keys in Ziploc bags. We sanitize all vehicles before and after, whether they're buying or servicing. We do not allow any service and customers into the dealership. It's a drop and pickup. We set up forms on our website, and our call ladies, when they call to make the appointments, they send the form to the customer that they can pre-fill it out with 3 safety questions and the needs of their cars. So when they come, 80% of them had forms already filled in, which would save a lot of time. At all 3 departments, there was a reception area where they had to identify themselves, answer the questions, and record the time that they were here so that we can trace and track. Customers responded really well to it because they felt safe and they felt confident. All of our employees with customers had to wear masks and gloves when interacting with the customers, whether it was in sales or service. We kept customer logs of anybody entering or leaving. And so far it's worked really well. We've had obviously no casualties, nobody gets sick. Our response from the customers have been excellent. It actually running more smoothly than a normal day when they're allowed to come in and wait or be shuttled or Now we do drop off and pickups on request. Older people that, you know, are not able to move around as well. We're doing about 4 or 5 pickup and drop offs in the area, which seem to work really well. On the sales side, demonstrations are tricky because you got to make sure who's driving your car without you in it is the legitimate person who they say they are from a theft standpoint. So we have 3 different demo processes. And basically that's about it. All the showrooms and all the service areas are marked for traffic on the floor. We have 1 door in, 1 door out. There is no crisscrossing. People that go for a demo ride go out the same door, come back through the indoor, finish the deal, and then go back out the outdoor. So there's a nice flow from that standpoint. All stations have the plexiglass partitions, plus masks are an option for the customer. I think that's it. The other thing on the employee side is that we had every employee, when we asked them if they wanted to come back, it wasn't mandatory, but if they did, they had to sign a 2-page letter with all the rules on engagement, and that they were not sick and they had not been on a trip, and that they would follow the rules, and they had to sign it. So every employee that come back had to do that. They also, 80% of them got temporary pay plans that were COVID specific, because we have a lot of what we call productive people that get paid on commission or sales. So we had to adjust the pay plans for those people so that it was fair, because we didn't have as many employees, and that they were taking on extra responsibilities that they normally wouldn't do. Other than that, I think I've covered pretty well a lot of it. In the sales department, 3 things have changed. One, the first 2 weeks was internet only, which was very difficult and time consuming. We had to drive to Sudbury, Collingwood, you know, because we could not bring the people into the store. So we had to go to their place of business. Then we went to appointment only, which changed it a little bit, so that they basically, the dealership was locked, but they had to make an appointment. The doors were locked and we met them at the front. Now it's opened up a bit where they can just walk in, but we've kept the same process as the appointment. We're just not letting people walk in. We're kind of meeting them at the door, asking them why they're here. We're asking them to make a phone call and make an appointment so we know who they are. We can track their cell phone, and then they're allowed in the store. And that's working fairly well also.
Good.
Is my time up?
But I just wanted to mention as well, I think your whole process is outlined on your website. Is that correct?
That was the other thing. We do have it. The service one was on for 3 weeks. So if you go on our website, you'd see people actually, you could see the process, interaction with the customer and the employee right through from front to back. We now have the sales process on the website, which from front to back, so that people know before they come what to expect.
That's great. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for that update. Harry, I'm going to unmute you now if you want to go next.
Sure. Okay. Sandra mentioned, I'm the branch manager of Meridian Credit Union here in Aurora. And as you can appreciate, being a financial institution, we were deemed as essential. So we never actually shut down. We have been open for business right from the very beginning. And so therefore we had to really take some crucial steps initially to get this, to be able to work effectively in this new environment. And the first things we actually worked on is making sure that any of our employees were safe, and had they been, are they showing any sign, any symptoms, and our HR department was heavily involved with that process in terms of if any of our employees exhibited any of the symptoms of COVID, you know, cough, fever, etc., they wouldn't be able to work, and as a result, and even when their symptoms stopped, they had to stay home for 14 days before they were allowed to come back to work to protect the both our existing our membership and our existing employees as well. So as I was mentioning, like a lot of the safety standards that we had to implement was right from the get-go, and the other part that we looked at was making sure that the premises was clean and sanitized on a regular basis, and so we've had to do some deep cleaning to ensure that our cleaning staff were actually on side with it, sanitizing and everything to make sure that there's more cleaning going on. And even during the day with my regular staff, you know, we're regularly going out to our ABM machine to wipe it down with disinfectant, the doors and the door handles, the doors, the counter areas and things like that is cleaned on an ongoing basis throughout the day, which I think is very critical to being able to operate in this new environment. What we also have is that our head office continually provides us with our cleaning supplies that we need. And so we have to keep an updated inventory control of what we have in terms of cleaning supplies, obviously, because we certainly don't want to run out, because in this crucial time, we need these things. So on a regular basis, we have to update this list, and then our cleaning supplies are shipped to us on a regular basis to ensure that we have the supplies that we need. In terms of social distancing, we've put floor markers on our floors as well to make sure that our members are staying within the 2 meters apart from one another. We also have, before our members walk in, our doors are locked. So anybody who comes in, they are greeted at the front by one of our employees who will ask them a questionnaire specific to the symptoms they have, and it's we have 4 questions that we ask, and if they answer yes to any of them, we won't let them in. And the questions that we ask them are, do you have any of the following symptoms? Fever, feverish, new cough, difficulty breathing. Question number 2 is, within the last 14 days, have you had close contact, such as a household member, traveled outside of Canada, including the US? Within the last 14 days, did you have close contact, household or workplace, with a symptomatic person known or suspected to have COVID-19? And the final question is, within the last 14 days, did you have close contact with a person who traveled outside of Canada, including the US, who's become ill with new respiratory symptoms? So we felt that that was critical in terms of what we needed to do. So every member who walks into our branch gets this question asked, these questions asked. We also make sure that we keep track of all of our members that are coming in, and the date, the time that they come in, and their name. And we want to do this specifically for ensuring that in the event that it is ever deemed that one of our employees or one of our members actually is diagnosed, and we know what time that they were in, that we actually know what members might have been in at the same time, so that we can reach out to them to say, you know, we did have somebody who tested positive. You were in the branch around the same time that this person was in, and as a result, now we can, you know, give them the information that they need so that they can do whatever they need to be able to make it, you know, see medical advice or whatever they need to do. What we also have is plexiglass, and I think this is a critical piece. And I think we're seeing these popping up around all kinds of businesses. And so every one of our teller stations has the plexiglass that they're using to interact with their members, with a hole in the bottom. And it's a three-sided plexiglass, so it's just affixed right to the countertop, which actually works quite nicely. And we also have one, because as you can appreciate, people coming in for investments or doing credit applications or wanting to sit down for some financial advice. We have one that's mobile as well. So it just kind of sits on a desk in an office. And as I say, it's a three-sided thing. So the employee and the member can actually interact, but they'll be fully protected with plexiglass. And in terms of you know, PPE supplies, we actually have gloves and masks available. And for the mask part, we don't make it mandatory for our employees to wear masks, because following you know, Canada Health is that if social distancing is not possible, then we make sure that we follow those procedures. But in most cases, we were able to follow social distancing in our environment. So it's an option for our employees to wear masks. And with our members coming in, some of them are coming in with masks. I'm going to say probably right now, if I were to estimate, I would say about half of our members are coming in with masks on at this point. In terms of gloves, one of the things that we do highly recommend that our employees use gloves, because if they're specifically if they're counting cash, cash, as we already know, cash is already very dirty, and this just enhances it. So we have our employees wearing plastic gloves when they're handling the cash. But more than that, we're asking them to only wear their gloves for about an hour or so, and then get a fresh set of gloves after that, because it's important for them to make sure that they stay sanitized. And as well as I think as far as communication is concerned, couple of things, like right when you walk into the door, right into the vestibule of our location, there's all kinds of signage about, social distancing. There's signage about our new hours. There's signage about the new way we're doing business and things like that. And as well as that, our website is also has a banner right across the top of it that says the new way of doing banking and options available and things like that are available to them. And in addition, we're trying to, if somebody doesn't need to come in to do transactional banking, with one of our tellers and whatnot, we're encouraging them to use alternate means to do their financing, whether it's banking by home, using their online banking portals, using mobile banking, or ABM machines. And that's why, as I say, on a regular basis, we're going out to clean that as well. So that kind of covers off on that, but it's about communication. And specifically when we're asking those questions as members come in, we're not getting any feedback and negative feedback at all, or any pushback at all. In fact, we're getting compliments on the fact that we're screening our members before they come in, because we say that we're doing it not only for our safety, but for their safety as well. And so as a result of that, people are appreciating the fact that we're taking those extra measures to ensure their safety and our safety as well. So that kind of gives you a background. It's about the types of things that we're doing. But as I say, it's for us, it's a big thing. And because we haven't had to close, we had to act very quickly to get this in place.
Thank you, Harry. And Harry, are your documents up on your website as well?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Thank you. So I'm going to pass it on to Vince now. I'm just unmuting you, Vince. There we go. Vince, you're unmuted.
Hey folks, my name is Vince Sposito. I'm one of the co-owners of Casa Carbone restaurant in Aurora. We've been closed. We were closed for 8 weeks. We closed on the 15th. So my partner and I had long discussions as to what to do, if we wanted to remain open over the course of that time, or to reopen. In the process, in the time that we had off, we reconfigured our dining room as we removed about 8 tables. Every table now is spaced 6 feet apart from the center. So we have lots of room to run around. We have set up, we've reopened for takeouts, and we have sanitizers in the entrance of the vestibule and in the restaurant itself. Our pin pad machine is covered. We replace the covering every day to make sure that it stays clean. Our employees have not been with us. It's just me and Chris, my partner. We've been doing everything. They've been off since day one. Kept in contact to make sure that everybody's been healthy and safe, and so far they have been. Ensuring the customers, when they come in, going forward, we will be wearing masks, but we're not quite sure when we are allowed to open. The kitchen will not be wearing masks. It's not a safe environment, especially with flame. They're not fire retardant, and the gloves that they wear strictly when they're prepping food. The heat in the kitchen, if you've ever been to our restaurant, we cook by flame. So it's not going to work in the kitchen, just for safety reasons itself, that they're not allowed to wear gloves. But we've always maintained a vigorous cleaning regimen. Our restaurant is always clean, but going forward, we've purchased sanitizers throughout the restaurant, disinfectant sprays for our handles. In the bathrooms, we'll have sanitizers. We will be putting up notices inside the doors when people come in and asking if they have experienced any of the symptoms that the previous guests have asked about. We've been doing takeout, and me and Chris are ensuring, obviously, that everything that we touch is that we're healthy, and we have been, that we use paper bags, rubber gloves when I'm packaging. Chris doesn't. It's going to be interesting going forward for us, because we're not quite sure. We have a lot of positive response about folks that want to come back to eat, not only in our establishment, but throughout cities, both Newmarket and Aurora. I think people want to come out. I think it's going to be interesting. We don't have any plexiglass because we don't have a cashier. Everybody pays by tap. We don't take a lot of cash in generally, but having said that, we have guidelines that we were going to be following if that does take place, and that's really it. We're kind of minimal what we're doing because we're kind of learning as we go. We haven't been open from day one, and we have high temperature dishwashers in both the front and back of the house. They run at about 190 degrees. So everything that comes through them is sanitized properly. And we are going to make sure when we reopen, depending on how many staff we can bring back, because our productivity will be less, we'll make sure that those staff members that are back have been healthy, haven't traveled, have not had any symptoms in the last 8 to 10 weeks or going forward, because we're not quite sure when we'll be allowed to open. That's really it. It's pretty straightforward for us.
Thank you, Vince. I'm going to turn it over to Teresa now. Teresa, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay.
And you're good to go.
All right. Hi, everybody. Hi. So I have been closed and just opened on Tuesday, but I have been running my business during that period of time. I haven't had clients in the store. So I've been doing curbside delivery. I've had people, I've also been delivering and keeping, I feel a bit nervous, but I also feel very anxious listening to everyone, but excuse me. I've already been a germaphobe, so this is just heightened my sensibility. But now that we have the door open and customers are coming in, I'm asking clients if they prefer hand sanitizer or gloves. So I do have gloves. Right now I don't have a plexiglass at my counter, but I am wearing a mask if they're not wearing a mask at the counter. I'm lucky that I don't sell clothing, so I don't have to deal with that aspect, but I do sell scarves. So I am showing the clients the scarves and not having them touch those or anything else. I'm doing the show and tell, so to speak. It's pretty straightforward. I don't have any staff at the moment. I only have one, but she's not coming back yet, but we have talked about our processes. As far as the debit machine is concerned, I clean it and was cleaning it before we had to shut down after every client. Same goes with the door as well. I clean it afterwards. I wash my hands afterwards. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm wiping down the counter. I very rarely have more than 1 or 2 people in at this time in the store. So max is 2. If a customer feels uncomfortable while another customer comes into the store, then I have a seating area in the back that they can sit there and wait. So that's what I'm doing so far. I haven't had the door closed, locked, but I may have to as the more people come out and the weather gets nicer. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. I'm going to turn it over now to Luisa, just to wrap up the panel portion of the session, and then we'll move into the Q&A. So please remember to post your questions into the chat if you have any, or if there's information that you would like to share from your business, let me know and I'll unmute you so you can share that. So thank you, Luisa. I'll turn it over to you now.
Hi everyone, my name is Luisa De Jesus and I'm the founder and president of LD Human Resources. And what we do is we support small to medium-sized businesses with any of their HR needs, whether they're hands-on, strategic. So our motto has always been that we go to the workplace, which many are closed right now. So we've been working remotely in terms of what we, how we've pivoted our business, obviously supporting our clients in terms of managing their workforce during the downturn and the legalities and communications around that. When it comes to reopening the workplace, this has really been predominantly the piece right now that we're supporting. And a number of the things that I've already heard from the other speakers are tactics or guidelines that we have implemented with many of our clients. So I'm going to review just a few things just to kind of recap on those pieces and perhaps give you different ideas of different types of environments of what we could do. It really depends. Are you retail, customer facing, office environment only? It really depends. But all in all, you really need to make sure that you have your employees as well as your consumers and your customers, your visitors to your office feel very, very safe and comfortable coming in. So definitely having an updated policy around hygiene in the workplace and the requirements such as these upping the cleaning protocols. So this is something that we've done in terms of ensuring, that if they're coughing or sneezing, they're using their arm, washing hands frequently, ensuring that everyone's aware really of what the protocol is and having that sign off on those policies, similar to what Joe was saying. The other pieces that we've included in addition to that is really having checklists. So, one of our clients, they're in the construction industry. They've always been operational because they're an essential service. But we've really developed different types of checklists, similar to ensuring that we're, for the office staff, what is the protocol that we're doing to clean the workstation, making sure that they're wiping down their keyboard, their monitor, not sharing pens, those types of things. When it comes to tools, specifically, where do they wipe it down? If there's tools that they're sharing or equipment, such as a forklift or even a vehicle, they should be cleaning that. They say that things that people forget is their phone and their car that is not being cleaned often enough. So making sure you've got those things really present, top of mind. I would say that's a good sort of starting point. More importantly, in making the staff feel comfortable, seeking out their input, making sure communication is really at the top of everything right now. I heard, Vince was saying, although the staff weren't working, checking in with them. So more important than not, making sure that you're upping communication, having face-to-face via Zoom or whatnot as much as you can. What happens is that when people work from home, sometimes they're busy. You may have not had that interaction because they don't report directly to you, but having those checkpoints is very, very important. One of our clients, what they did was they sought out the employees' feedback. What are your concerns about coming back to work, so that they made sure that they addressed them in advance before returning to work. Ensuring you have proper PPE, of course, hand sanitizer stations, but more importantly, thinking about the little things that you don't always think about. So if you normally offered coffee with cups in the office, that might be totally removed. You may offer it still with a regimented cleaning protocol of the coffee machine, but offering disposable cups. We've had clients remove the opportunity of having a fridge to put your lunch in. Everyone has to bring their own cooler bag, because that reusable bag could potentially have a risk by putting it in the fridge with others. If you did have office supplies, for example, in a cupboard, well, maybe you're removing that door of the cupboard. So it's minimizing touch points. Similarly, having only one entrance to the workplace versus multiple, so you can track who's in and out. Having the tracking system, definitely having less staff in the office at once, so that you can ensure that you're doing that physical distancing. And if there are opportunities where we can continue the remote working arrangement and it works, encourage you to do that. Same with meetings, having them either outdoors or online, or really repositioning so you're having less time together, unfortunately, during this situation. Other things such as how many bathrooms do you have and who's designated to which bathroom to use in the office, and making sure that you've got a regimented cleaning protocol for that piece as well. Similarly with your handrails, your knobs, your light switches, and having someone go around to do that daily, sometimes twice a day. Upping your cleaning service. There are cleaning services that will offer deep clean, like with workstations specifically. If you wanted to, in terms of the handset or the keyboard, how often has that happened that you clean that all the time, right? So really making sure that those pieces are in place. Other things like when we have packages and couriers delivered, having a specific designated area for that, receiving that courier, so that, and one particular individual that's going to open that package. So what's the process? Is it sit there for 24 hours, or if it's not, if it's within the 24 hours, making sure that individual has proper PPE, gloves, they're wiping it down and removing the packaging, and removing properly their PPE before they get out of that designated area to deliver or distribute whatever package came in for the business. Again, things similar to what we would do with your groceries right now. We're not necessarily bringing our groceries right in our home. We're making sure that we're having a designated area, perhaps in your garage or whatnot, wiping it down before you bring it in. So these things will come into the workplace. The other thing that, as you had mentioned, Harry, stocking up on those supplies, making sure you have regular orders so that you don't fall short. Ensure that, you have teams, like how Joe had said, they have different departments. Well, what we found is we have teams of people coming in. So maybe group 1 comes in Monday to Wednesday, have a strict cleaning protocol. Group 2 comes in Wednesday to Friday. This way, if one COVID case was, detected in one of those teams, your business can still operate with team 2. So in addition to that, having staggered start times and break times and lunch times, so that you're not having the same type of traffic coming in and out, and having those close proximities. So reducing that situation where you're going to have the same people coming in at the same time. The other thing too is, making sure that if you are in the retail space, you have that prepayment option, reducing that whole cash or customer exchange as much as you can in advance. Having signs at your doors, and ensuring that anyone that's going to be coming in, similar to what some of you have already been doing, call them in advance and ask them, are you those 4 questions, are you experiencing symptoms? Have you visited someone? Have you traveled? So that you can say, okay, we'll have to reschedule. And, most people right now are ensuring that they're only doing things that are really necessary. As we see things relax, I think people will feel more comfortable, which is encouraging from an economy, in an economic perspective. But we really need to make those people feel comfortable so that the consumer spending really happens, right? Because we're not sure if that will really pick up. So, considerations such as, if we do have a second wave, these are things that we're talking with our clients. Do you have another contingency plan in place? You had to shift right away when COVID happened. So what happens if there is another wave? Are you prepared, and what will that look like? So really thinking it through, even in terms of like the technical aspect of, you give enough computers, laptops, let's get these things in place so you're preparing in advance. And, if you're in a manufacturing environment, making sure that you have proper plexiglass, as we had mentioned. If you can't maintain that social distancing, you have less people in the manufacturing plant, having maybe a captive group program, so you're reducing the amount of outside exposure coming into that manufacturing environment. Introducing better air quality and having an influx of fresh air, so you don't have as much recycled air in your environment. So I think I've pretty much captured most pieces that I was thinking, in terms of piggybacking on what everyone had said. But, if there is specific questions to your environment, I'm happy to answer those.
Thank you, Luisa. And there was Teresa just wanted me to pass on a message that she forgot to mention that she's asked clients to wear masks, and for the most part they have. There was a request if any of you would like to share where you're getting your partitions from, your plexiglass partitions. So let me just unmute all of the, apologize, but let me just unmute all of the team on the panel. Anybody like to share? I've got most of you unmuted now. Do you know, Harry or Joe, where you're getting your plexiglass from?
I don't, because the New Roads executive ordered them for all the stores and distributed them to the stores.
Okay.
As they have for a lot of the PPE stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have to say we're in the same situation that it came, a supplier from Southwestern Ontario provided it for all of the Meridian branches across Ontario. So
for those of you who need it, we do have a PPE supplies list on the Chamber website. And I've actually posted, the first post you'll see in the chat is from me. It gives you our website, the COVID-19 site, and then the PPE suppliers list and the reopening guidelines document. So all those links are in there. If you want to just copy those and put them into a document on your computer, you can access them later. We have someone on the line who would like to share a story from their factory in China and how they've reopened. You see, I'm just going to unmute you. This is CC Wang.
Yeah, hello. This is QQ1. I'm from Zenshine Solar. We are solar panels manufacturer. Headquarters is in China. We also have a branch office in Aurora. I would like to share some information how we do the reopen business in China. When we reopen, we have 400 staffs come back to work. So obviously we are doing similar things as you are doing here. Everyone has to wear gloves and masks, but we have one thing different. For wear masks, every staffs entering into the company, we have to give them a new mask from our company, because some people, they wear masks from home or when they work on the street or take some public transportation, might have some virus on their masks. So we have to change their mask. So that is one thing. And before they enter into the company, we do hand sanitizer, of course. And every 4 hours, our company will be sanitizing everywhere. Wherever have people, we're gonna have a sanitizer for the table, for the furnitures, for the floor, everywhere. And also when eating, because factories, we have a dining room. Everyone, when we eat, we only face one direction. We don't have people face-to-face eating, even 2 meters distance. So this is also very important. And another thing is very important is for COVID-19, some patients, they don't have symptoms. When you ask them, they even don't know themselves if they get affected or not. So how can we guarantee that? So in China, everyone return to work, we have to obtain a healthy approval from hospital. So they have to go to the hospital to do the CT or test. But right now, I think which is more convenient, because we have maybe 10 or 15 minutes faster test. They can just test, have the result. If it's positive, they have to go to hospital or isolate it. If nothing, they just can be easy go to work. And every day they have a routine rules, just a home and the office, home and office. They cannot go to anyone, any other places, because if this specific person, employees, if they go to stores, we don't know if anyone in the store, like here in Costco or Superstore, they might have some staffs got affected. We don't know, but you go there. Only when you get affected, you don't know. Only a few days later, you might have symptoms. So all these have to be tracked. everyone's working trace has to be tracked. Before they back to work, they have to do 100% sure they don't have any potential symptoms, or they have to have a proof to do that. So here maybe it's difficult because for us self, we cannot do the test. Maybe Aurora Chamber of Commerce, you can organize. We can have a doctor sit here, and for companies, we can pay some cost for the doctors sit here to do test for everyone. Make sure everyone is safe, then go back to work. Then no problem.
So thank you. That wouldn't be the role of the chamber, but thank you.
Like anyone, like you can talk to governments, because everyone want to reopen business. Governments also want to reopen business, but we have to be safe. Till today in Aurora area, we already have 97, till yesterday, already have 97 cases. It shouldn't happen because we aware that this a long time ago, but still have more people coming. So this is the one important thing I want to mention here. Non-symptom patients, we have to prove that.
Yes,
And yeah.
the government's talking about that as well. So thank you, Cece, for that update from your fact.
Program. And another thing is in China, because we went through this period, we changed a lot. We changed the payment method, even not now, before. We only use QR code. So we just use cell phone to pay. We pay by WeChat, we pay by WhatsApp, not WhatsApp. Like here, we pay by Apple Pay, right? In China, we use
No, you're
hello,
okay.
can you hear me? Okay, so in China, we use Alipay, we use WeChat. No one uses the card, no one uses the machines. So we don't connect, we don't touch the money, we don't touch bills, we don't touch everything. We don't issue invoice to client, so nothing touch for payment.
Okay.
This is one thing, technology. And another thing is for the business model. In China, we changed a lot. There is a big change. So live sales right now is the most important business model for retail business. Like I saw someone is selling bags, right? Bags here. And they do live sale. I show you a symbol here. I don't know if you can see it or not.
You know what, Cece?
Oh, sorry, I have to change my background.
It's okay. I think we're going to have to stop there just because I want to get some questions in from the floor, if that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, but thank you for the information.
Okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks. Does anybody else have questions that they'd like to put forward?
I have a question.
Hi, Elena. How are you?
Hi, I'm Elena Fordham. I have a marketing business called Beverage Marketing. I have a question for Luisa. I just wanted to know if you have any employer do's and don'ts. I keep hearing some really odd cases where, like, for example, a girlfriend of mine, she works at a bank and she was told basically if she can't find alternative childcare by July 20th, she'll lose her position. And so I wanted to know, like, if you can provide any insight on that, like what are the do's and don'ts for employers?
For sure, no problem. Absolutely. So it's interesting because a lot of people, knowing that I'm in HR, you know, just being at home on the street, are now working, going back to work. And the reality is we do have our children at home still, with the schools being closed for many individuals, or even, you know, people have taken out their elderly parents from long-term care facilities just for their safety and now caring for them at home. Those are really protective grounds under Bill 186, where COVID is covered, that, you know, they don't necessarily, they don't necessarily have to go back to work. Like, if that is a protective ground for them to still have to be having their job held. But most importantly, you know, it's about flexibility. So I would say in terms of do's and don'ts, you know, the reality is a lot of us are working odd hours simply because we have to help our kids with the homework or care for them, depending on the age of the child, or depending on what your commitments are for the elderly care, whatever the case might be. Obviously, the business needs to have their operation continue to meet their objectives. So having constant communication and clarity more than ever now, because you're not in the environment, right? So you have to really be clear. I need you to get X, Y, Z done. You know, this is the deadline. When do you think we can have a draft or whatnot? So whether the employee is working on things overnight or whether they're, you know, doing it during business hours, as long as they're really meeting those performance objectives, then we need to be accommodating that. And also being understanding if we have to reduce those expectations a little. The reality is, even myself, I'm on a call, someone else has their, you know, their children at home. What would have normally taken a half an hour is taking sometimes like an hour and a half, because who needs to go and help their child with something, or something's happening, you get distracted in the background. So it's really important to be flexible, have constant communication, and do those checkpoints. I had one actually yesterday with someone who wasn't really doing the best that they can, and it really was almost like they're totally different working from home. What's going on with this employee? And so I said, you know, has anyone talked to them about what's going on in their home environment? Have things changed for them? And sure enough, you know, I spoke to him. He had an elderly mom at home. He had a lot more responsibility on his plate now. So just sort of navigating through what that means from a work perspective of how we can continue to make the work happen, and also help balance his home responsibilities or requirements. It's really a balance and about communication. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Luisa. Does anybody else have a question that they'd like to jump in with? I think there were some comments in the chat that are going around for everyone, just talking about how do you do demonstrations online? How do we do automatic payment? And how the business model is changing. And I think we would all agree with that we are seeing a different business model coming to light through COVID-19. So I think if there are no other questions, I think, oh, yep, there's Square payment. People are saying there's Square payment as well, which works, and Square has been around for a while. So thank you all for your comments, your questions. Thank you for joining us. I hope you found this interesting and that there was some good information provided. I do want to encourage you to check out the Aurora Chamber of Commerce website. It's in the chat if you want to copy it. There are resources there that include local PPE suppliers, guidelines from the province, and other resources to help you reopen your businesses. Thank you again for joining us. And remember, the Chamber is always here to support you. If you need anything, please reach out to us. I've posted our contact information in the chat. Thanks very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the sunshine. Thank you.
Great job, everyone.
Thank you.